What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. Today we got a 2013 all-wheel drive Toyota RAV4 XLE. We're gonna replace the front brake pads. As you can see, they're down to nothing. We're gonna replace the rotor. I'm gonna give you torque specs. So we're gonna be removing this bolt, and there's two bolts for the bracket. You will see that. So before you start anything, open up your reservoir cap, because when we compress this piston, so all the fluid can travel back. Sometimes you will see overflowing fluid. As we see over here, that's due to they already have put too much fluid in there. It's okay if it overflows, that's fine. Once you're done, make sure you pump your, once you're done and once everything is done, make sure you compress your pistons by pressing your brake pedal several times before you start the car. Anyways, we're gonna need some tools. We got 3/8 dry ratchet with 14mm socket. We got another long ratchet, 3/8 dry with a 17mm socket, so 14 and 17mm. We got a vice grip, we got a torque wrench, and we got a 17mm wrench. Get a wire brush. You're gonna need some greasing. I got two different greasing here, silicone greasing. So let's get this job started. I'm gonna show you the part numbers and everything. So here's the brake pads. We got Evolutions. So they're different for the four-wheel drive or non-four-wheel drive. Comes with the hardware kit. Already did one side. And here's our rotor right here. Regular white old box. Pronto rotor, nothing fancy. So in here we're gonna prep this rotor right now, and then we'll move on to doing the rest of the job. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this out of the package, and let's get this guy off. Once you have it out of the package, you need a brake cleaner. So clean this rotor up nice and clean. It has oil in it, that's to prevent rust while it's in stock. Do both sides. You're gonna have to do both sides. Same thing, brake cleaner. If you want to do another coat, one more spray, that's fine, but I let it sit here, let it dry. But you can immediately put this baby on the car. You don't have to wait any longer than that. So if you left the key in the ignition, that's perfect. You grab the steering and you could turn it. Anyways, 14mm right here, counterclockwise. Okay, we got it the wrong way. I was working on the other side. So counterclockwise, don't make that mistake. Sometimes this will turn with it, the slider pin. So you could use your vice grip to hold it, because 17mm is not gonna fit on it unless you have a very thin one. Or you just take the vice grip and put the vice grip here and onto the edge of this slider pin. Same thing on the top if that curves. So let's loosen this baby up too. Once both of these are loose, you're gonna put them to the side, and I like to use a lot of power tools, but not today. Today we're gonna do everything without power tools. And at the end of the video, well, as long we go, I'm gonna give you the torque spec. So after you're done, you could use a flathead screwdriver to pop this, but if you don't need to, this should come off easily. Put this baby up here, don't let it fall out, don't put no stress on this guy. Let's take a look at the brake pads. So how do you know if your brake pads need to be replaced? They will go down to minimum, okay? Once this notch is gone, disappears, they're done. Usually you would have brake wear indicator sensor, so these brake pads was done wrong. You're missing something there. But look at the new ones. Look how thick they are. Look at the difference, okay? So if you look for in there, you will see that. Okay, we got the hardware kit, so we're gonna replace the hardware kit today. So next step is we're gonna go a little bit further. If our camera can reach in there, let's see if this baby can reach, or if we can see back here. There you go, that's perfect, looks good. So we got two bolts. This guy right here, let's have this on off. This is for the bracket, and this baby is for the bracket. Okay, perfect, looking good so far. Just wanted to take a glance, look on my camera. Still recording, sometimes it cuts off on me. But remember, like I said, the fluid is sticking out. It's gonna come out more, so if you have your reservoir cap, that's fine. If you forget, that's fine also. This fluid would overflow because somebody, maybe Jiffy Lube or Zap Lube, they keep topping your fluid. You really don't need to top off your fluid. So put this to the side, and then let's get this baby off. Let's see if this is any smoother than that one. Sometimes you can wiggle this bracket and it will loosen up because the weight will keep it sticking to the side. And there's our bracket. The bracket comes off. We're gonna bring our camera out and we're gonna remove the disc next. So here's our disc. Sometimes this will be jammed in there. You could put a small little 12mm screws in here, the bolts, and tighten them, 2 of them, it will come off, or bang it with the hammer. You can watch my other videos, but this is all shot. I am impressed with the one thing. You see this buffing? This thing has buffings all over. So this customer had tires replaced. So they took care of them, you know, because you don't want to put just the tire if it doesn't sit flush, that you couldn't even see buffing here. But we're gonna do our part. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna prep the caliper and this hub. So on this hub, you wanna take your wire brush or a buffer. You wanna buff this guy really good so we can have a flat surface for the disc to sit on. Anyways, that looks good. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my camera towards this side so we can see it all. And let's raise the camera up a bit. Okay, so what I wanna also do is I want to take a little bit of wire brush. I want to brush a little bit here, not on the rubber boot. Okay, the rubber boot, if you want, you could throw some WD-40 or some type of cleaner. But I just take this little guy right here. This is pretty good for me. What I want to do next is I want to take a parts cleaner. We're gonna take our brake cleaner, and you just want to spray this hub and spray a bit on that caliper. That's perfectly normal. Give it a moment, and you also want to look to see if there's any dirt and debris in here, like the crust or little pieces of chunks of rust will fall in there. Then it will just grind on your disc. But anyway, that's done. So what we're gonna do next is, one tool I forgot: C-clamp. If you have a C-clamp, you can push this piston back. But we're gonna use a special tool or anything else that you can use. We're gonna use this old brake pad. We're gonna let it sit right there. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna come this way so you guys can see it better than me. We're gonna take this tool I have here, compress tool. You can find this thing for 30 bucks online, and we're gonna compress this piston. Okay, so all the fluid is gonna go back. This would be a good idea if you want to flush out your system. You really don't have to bleed the system, but if you open your valve, as you push this piston back, the fluid will come out. But be aware, these valves do tend to break over time. So the best thing to do is just do a regular flush. Don't mess with 2 things at the same time unless you're a professional. And so as you see, we're gonna have fluid coming down. That's fine. That's fine. I should have sucked some of it off, but I didn't know how much was gonna come out. So we got fluid dripping on the floor. Okay, we're gonna let this thing sit here. I am gonna go get something to put down there because that's way too much fluid on my floor. So I'll put some rags on the floor so this thing is off. So what we want to do next is we want to prep a few things. We want to start off by our brake caliper here. So if you don't have a hardware kit, that's fine. But if you do have a new hardware kit like we do, we want to put a new hardware kit on this baby. So take something, flathead screwdriver will work good. Okay, these look, if you want to look at it, they all look same. So you want to pop these off, all of them, 4 of them. There you go. Okay, there you go. Okay, what I like to do next is I like to file right in between here, or wire brush it, buff it, make sure it's nice and clean. The best thing you could do here is clean the heck out of it, spray some cleaner on it. What this is gonna do is it's gonna let your hardware sit nice and flush. So this is your hardware here. You take your hardware, you're gonna put it in the same direction it was in. So you're gonna go one way. See, the edges are this way. so you can't go wrong. And make sure it's centered out. See this little edge here? I won't be able to put it here, okay? It has to be sitting right here. So 4 are gonna be the 2, 4 is gonna be for the same for the, come on. Because it's 2 and 2 for the opposite side, 2 and 2 for the opposite side. So that thing, you see how easy that was to put in? Let me grab another one. Let's see where this guy sits. So make sure it sits right in the center, right there, so you have clearance for the rotor. So I'm gonna do the same thing for the top one here. So we'll be right back. Okay, I'm all done. As you can see how it sits, and my camera is bright, I know that, but you can get it, I'm sure. You could tap it with something so it's nice and flush on the bottom. Just don't bend it, don't damage it. So the next step here we're gonna do is I'm gonna go get a rag. So here's our rag. Let's pull off one of these slider pins. This rubber boot will come off. Okay, what we're gonna do is, notice this one has a little rubber on it. So let's clean this off. This one has a little rubber on it. So if this bracket is like that, that rubber one goes in the bottom. There's a reason for that. And we're gonna put it back in the same spot. And then we're gonna use the silicone grease I showed you in the beginning of the video. Little chunk of it, just try not to get on the tip, because the tip, it will not compress properly. So make sure your rubber boot grabs on. Do the same thing for the bottom one. Okay, let me get this guy off. There you go. Same thing. Get your cleaner, rag. And this one, as you can see, there's no so way too much grease. So I'm gonna use my finger to submerge it around as much as I can and get rid of whatever I don't need. There you go. So that looks good. We're gonna put this lighter pin back in. Okay, so our caliper is prepped. The bracket is prepped. Caliper is compressed. So one more thing we're gonna do here is, I like to put greasing on this hub. The reason is, it's gonna let your rotor sit flush, and it's gonna be nice and smooth and easy to take off next time. So that's that. So let's move on. So let's take our disc. It doesn't matter where you put it, how you put it, which spot it goes on. Okay, that caliper wants to fall. I'm gonna let it sit on the tie rod. So it doesn't matter which hole it goes on. It's a universal system here. And let's put one lug nut on this baby. And this sits right there. And what we're gonna do next is, we're gonna go in the back and put our bracket on. Okay, so my camera went off, so we took this. Let me just take it apart again because I want you guys to see it. So all I did was put the two 17mm bolts on this bracket. That was our next step. And now we're gonna torque these babies. Okay, so we got our torque wrench set to 79 foot-pound, and we're gonna do this 79 foot-pound. Double check your stuff. So every car is different, so they're not all same. So make sure you get the correct spec. Double check. I'm happy there, and we're good. So what we're gonna do next is, while we at it, we're gonna take our brake pads. Let's bring out our camera a bit so we can see everything from my here. So we're gonna take our brake pads. So these brake pads are gonna sit in that manner. Okay, so I gotta get these things. So you're gonna have clips. It's gonna be 4 clips that look something like that in there. So what you do is, you put this on the top of these brake pads. They stick right on, just like that. See that? And if you do it the other way around, if you got this thing baby like that, you're gonna have a lot of noise. So make sure you get it correct, okay? So that's it. Next, pay attention to the next part. A little bit of good information here. So what I want to do here is, I'm gonna put a little bit of greasing here, This is what's gonna come into contact with your hardware. Okay, too much greasing will collect dust, so this thing has to be up. So this baby is gonna stick in just like that. Okay, if your pads does not go in easy, like I have a small little issue here, I see the problem. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna tap on this. Okay, my hardware is not flush, they will move. So if anything happens, you might want to file this a bit, the paint, and you want your brake pads to go in very easy. One finger should go in. If you have to tap this baby in, no good. Okay, same thing with the inside brake pad. If you need to tap on the hardware, do so. And same thing here. We're gonna take a little bit of greasing here and right there. We're pretty much almost done. Same thing here. Okay, your brake pad should go in freely. Okay, you should not have to force this brake pad in. See, that's not, see what I did? It's not forcing. You see how my brake pad moves in and out? Sometimes you have to push down on this pin to get this baby in there. That's the problem with these Toyotas. Only, it's not even a problem. I wouldn't even say it's a problem. So our next step here is, what we're gonna do is take the same greasing that we use. That's the other dark color greasing here. That's the one we used here so far. The silicone grease only on the slider pins. So we're done there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our caliper. Make sure your line is not twisted like that for the caliper. And you guys can't even see. Let's see. If you can see now. There you go. So make sure your line is nice and straight. And all we're gonna do here is we're gonna take our caliper and stick on our caliper. And you would have to push this pin in and the slider pin in, so everything can just sit flush and properly. Take our 14 millimeter here, double check all your work. Okay, and like I said again, make sure you pump your brake pedal before you start the car and drive the car. So as soon as you're done with everything, you got the wheels on and everything is double checked, triple checked, go inside the vehicle, bring it down, put it on the floor, and pump your brake pedal. That's all you need to do. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna take off this 17. We're gonna take off the 25 millimeter socket. I'm sorry, 14 millimeter socket. And the torque spec here now is 25 foot-pound. So we're gonna go down from 79 to 25. So we're down to, okay, there you go. We're on 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, if your bolts here, if your bolts, the slider pin turns as you do this, you want to put a vice grip on. See how it turns? That's no good for me. And there goes my torque wrench. So what I want to do is I'm going to hold this baby just like that. And I am going to tighten this baby now. There you go. That's 25 foot-pound. Let's try the top one. If you need to put a... Okay, we're going to have to put our vice on that as well. So let's put our vice grip here. So 25 foot-pound is not a lot, okay? But it will do the job. So what we're going to do is, as we turn this, we're going to hold on to our vice. There you go. 25 foot-pound. We're all done, guys. Every vehicle is different on specs. Make sure you take off your tools. Make sure you double check all your work. Thank you for watching my video, and make sure all the brake line is nice and straight, just like that. Thank you for watching again. See you guys.